Hello and welcome back to another comic series AMA. This month we're going to focus on questions centered on Xenoblade Comicals again, specifically the first visit to Bionis Interior all the way until the side quest after the Fallen Arm. A quick summary for those who are new here and maybe not have read my older works. Xenoblade Comicals is the first longer form project I took on at the beginning of my consistent posting schedule. It's a series of comics covering my playthrough of the game on the new Nintendo 3DS, while also injecting a bit of an abridged series vibe to the plot and characters. For our batch of questions, we have some that come from Aquasun, the first of which is, looking back at this stretch of comics, which are your favorites? This one was a hard one to start off with, as there's so many good ones in this month's batch of Throwback Thursdays. I'll start off with the easy ones in terms of heart-to-hearts. Both Fiora's and Melia's were really fun to do, with Fiora's being kind of like a letter thing, where she's not actually there, but Shulk's reading a letter from, what happened. It was really fun to play with the idea as the letter, as texture, and then for Melia's, thinking up the backstory for her guards was a really nice challenge, as well as like doing some character building that was kind of completely free, because the guards in-game don't really have much to them. Also, this is the portion where Albus, Melia, and Ricky are all introduced. They really filled out the team nicely and get some extra comedy flowing well. Speaking of comedy, while most of the comics this round are favorites, I'm going to try to narrow it down. Of course, there is Ryan pressing the button as a certified classic, as well as the immediate follow-up with Albus getting a life jacket. What of Melia is another favorite of mine. Shulk and Dunban talking about romance after the twist is another one of my favorites, especially Dunban's little outburst at the end. I do also really love the one with Albus freaking out above the water slide on Valak Mountain. Not only because it's fun, but I remember working on that one while at my grandparents' house with my mom watching TV in the same room. And then there's also the Fallen Arm has a lot of good ones, like Dun what the fuck? Thank you, Bionis. Seven's Journal Flirting. Just so many good ones. To those listening that have read the comics, also tell me some of your favorites. I'd love to know. Next question. How did you decide the characters or background lineup colors? I'll start with the backgrounds, as those are the easiest. I have a green, blue, brown, and gray on my go-to palette that are usually for trees, plants, water, caves, or buildings and such that tend to go in the backgrounds for lined or tonal comics. For characters, I tend to go with a color that fits the vibe to me, which is a little hard to explain, but the color I tend to jump to is usually like their hair color or the main color of their clothes that pops out. Sometimes it's an important accent color or even their eye color. Next question. If you were to release these comics in a print compilation, how would you handle the GIF comics? In terms of those, I would probably choose one of the frames that gets across the GIF's purpose, or pick a few frames to get a few panels. If that didn't feel quite right, I'd probably just redraw a panel to fit into what that GIF was accomplishing. Next question. When writing this series, did you imagine Shulk with a British accent? Honestly, no. Asshole Shulk is so different from regular Shulk that in my head, the voice changed a bit too. That said, I think he could still work with a British accent. It's just not something I really thought about while writing the series. And the last question from Aquasun, as well as last question for this round, was writing the heart-to-heart substantially harder than writing a gag-a-day comic? I would definitely say so, yes. The gag comics are usually pretty much already quote-unquote scripted in my head by the time I get to them, and are almost always around 4 panels, sometimes shorter, a little bit longer sometimes. So that also helps because there's not really much length to each scenario. For the heart-to-hearts, I always wanted to take a second to fully flex my writing muscles and really make a capital S scene. It was a nice change of pace to help the gags not feel too stale over time, too. And with that said, we are going to hop on over to the end screen. So you can see my lovely patrons scrolling along with their patron NPCs. If you're interested in asking a question or any of the other rewards that come along with supporting me, check out my link to my Patreon below in the description. Even without pledging, you can still have access to things like preview panels, coloring pages, and occasionally some of the lower tiered rewards like comic polls or even seeing manga musings videos, just as a little taste of what pledging can get you. Thank you to everyone who asked a question and anyone who watched this video. The support means a lot to me. Until next month, bye!